Hey everyone, Merry Crimbo. It's episode 153. I'm not sure whether anyone put on their list a 48-14 shellacking of the Panthers, but Santa definitely delivered. Alex, I mean, there's not too much to crumble about. Rumble, Christmas. I'm trying to make a Christmas pun. I won't bother.
I mean, we could crumble, rumble, whatever Christmassy pun you want to use there, Kieran.
Just bring out the
We
duck. It's fine.
oh the dark, yeah. About the defense, if we really wanted to, I say that is the main area that concerned me on Sunday. But I mean, offensively, I thought we were on another level. Baker was incredible. Bucky, Mike, just really from an offensive side, I thought we were brilliant. It was great to see special teams come up and make a big play. I'm sure you were thrilled as well on that one, Kieran. But defensively, for me, there's still some questions that are there.
Yeah, okay. Gary, let's start with the good then. The offense. I mean, 48 points. Yeah, there's a special team score in there, but no one's going to moan at that production.
Absolutely not. And, it's a slight caveat because the Panthers aren't very good, are they? Let's
Mm,
be
mm.
honest. But, we made them look even worse than they actually are.
Yeah,
Baker was phenomenal.
five touchdowns.
Absolutely, yeah, he equaled his best ever.
Mm.
550 odd yards, three
359. It wasn't quite that
up.
much, but
Well, okay,
yeah.
but
550 odd yards total offense. Yeah,
350 something passing,
yeah, yeah.
200 rushing. Uh, you know, it's off the charts. What summed it up for me was Pewter Report do a list of most impressive, and there was a long list. They do a list of most disappointing, and the article said, "No one. Happy New Year,"
Ah,
and that really summed it up. The offense was absolutely cooking on gas all day long.
and David, the question on everyone's lips: Will Mikey make it to 1,000?
Well, he's got to now. I mean, you can tell the Saints are going to want to be sort of party poopers, don't you, next week? They're going to be keen to beat us anyway, but also to stop Mike Evans. But is he stoppable? I mean, he's the main man out there, but, he got found on a regular basis, got 100 odd yards a game. Um, and now they know people like McMillan and Culper are a threat as well. Actually, they can't just all focus on Mike
Yeah, say
anymore.
more about that because Colt and Payne Durham. I mean, will the next tight end in the queue please stand up?
Yeah, absolute beasts, aren't they? And
Yes, really
Culp is
impressed.
meant to be the most athletic of them all,
Mm.
and yet he hasn't had a chance this season. And he played fantastic, got down the field really well, held his catches. Really exciting
I
to
mean,
see. Fit straight
I've
into us.
dismissed them both as blocking tight ends, and they both come in at 18 yards a catch, which is not a blocking tight end. I was really, really impressed with those. And, obviously, Kieron, you're not going anywhere, don't worry. But I think it shows for when Cohen's back next year, what this offense is going to be capable of, I think, in year two. Alex, then we'll go on with offense. I think the other thing I want to talk about, obviously, we've got to talk about Bucky. We've got to talk about Rashad. We've got to talk about Tucker again. In mop-up duty, I thought he did really well as well.
Yeah, I think we're in a really fortunate position where we have three exceptionally strong running backs.
Mm,
I was saying to someone the other day that if it wasn't for Bucky, White, Sean Tucker could be much higher up the depth chart. I think he's just really unlucky that we've just
mm,
got
mm.
Bucky and Richard White in front of him. Bucky Irving, the first Tampa Bay running back to do 1,000 yards rushing since Doug Martin in 2015. An incredible achievement. Congratulations to him. What a pick he was. Was he fourth or fifth round? I can't remember. I know
Mm.
he's one some of the later rounds. And he just looks amazing. I think we've definitely found our running back for the foreseeable future. It's just a shame that he's not quite quick enough to just finish
Yeah,
off
over
some
the
of
line.
those runs.
Oh,
There's a
I'm not sure
couple of
I'd
times this
complain.
season but he is
Mm.
he's an elusive back. He just find those gaps that the O line are creating, and he just has that burst where out of nowhere, when the game started, we were really struggling to get that running game going. And I thought we were going to abandon it at some point and really focus on the passing game. But then, Cohen didn't abandon it, which I'm actually thrilled to see, because I think if we go back to Leftwich, I think previously I think we would have abandoned the run game and just focused on the passing game. But Cohen kept it going, gave Bucky those opportunities, and he did what he needed to do. And what was it? It was he just shy of 100? No, it was 113 rushing yards. I think he got in the end, wasn't it, on Sunday?
A very impressive 5.7 a carry.
smashed.
And if you're doing more than 4, you're generally doing okay. And you think every time he touches the ball, it's 2nd and 4. That's where you want to be, isn't it?
100%. And I remember this was very early on when we started the podcast that Gary and I were chatting about running backs and how many yards per down you want to see. And I remember Gary saying very distinctively, if your running back is getting 4 yards every carry, that's fine. And I completely agree with Gary, and I still do. But with Bucky, we are getting these big plays every game. And it's so refreshing to see. And, just a massive congratulations to him for getting his 1,000 rushing yards in his rookie season. Incredible achievement.
And while we're patting everyone on the back, there's a group we mustn't forget, Gary. Alex alluded to them in terms of making holes for the running backs. There's probably a reason why all 3 running backs are having success. I'm so impressed with the O-line. I would say that's probably the biggest improvement I think we've seen across the entire team this year.
Yeah, without a doubt. Without a doubt. And of course, the one thing about them, they are young as well. Potentially we've got an O-line there for, to use Alex's expression, the foreseeable future. Did you see that block that Wirfs put on one of the defensive backs on, I think it was Bucky's long run?
He was on the wrong side of the field. He came around from left and he was on the right.
It reminded me of Ali Marpet in the Super Bowl a few years back. Wirfs just obliterated the guy. It's fantastic. If they stay injury free and we can keep them together, Gadecki's up for a big contract extension pretty soon, isn't he? We need to keep them together. Barton is improving.
Mulch is good. Bredesen maybe had a flag that he might want to call back. But funny you mentioned Ali Marpet, because in my head I was thinking, God, can you imagine if Marpet didn't retire? We'd have just been abusing people at this point.
Well, yeah, we'd also have the most expensive O-line, I think, in the league with all of them. But yeah, let's just hope we can keep them all fit and keep them together for the next few years.
And David, the luck of the duck, special teams. That my game ball vote, I don't think has attracted any other follow-on votes, has it, Alex? I said JTS, I had to check my spelling. I think he was textbook on that punt block.
Yeah, blown coverage, got straight through the gap, made it happen. I mean, it was just total complimentary football that second half. Everything was going our way. And great to see special teams come up with a touchdown. We've not had that many this year.
No.
So it was good to get them going. I think, hopefully everything is heading in the right direction now.
Yeah, so, really, really good. And then the less not so good, the defensive side of the ball. David, we'll stick with you because special teams doesn't really count. Is it? My protection is it feels like it's the secondary, but it could be upfront pressure as well.
I mean, if you don't get upfront pressure, then obviously the quarterback's got more time to allow plays to develop downfield. It was definitely the same thing, and Todd Bowles put his hand up in the game press conference, said, in the first half, actually missed assignments again, and I don't know if you heard his words. He was telling his secondary to get their heads out their arses. It's quite interesting. It's the most animated I think I've ever seen Todd Bowles. So it's a long issue for Buccaneers football under Todd Bowles. The secondary has always been a bit iffy, but in fairness to them, look, they've had to have so many changes this year in personnel. And they learned from their mistakes and they shut them out second half. So
yeah, I think that's right.
It was frustrating. It was nervy. You think if actually up against a better team, particularly if it gets to playoffs, it could potentially be our weak spot. But they got the job done on the night, and that's all you can ask for.
You're right, and I think the differential is not something I've ever seen. So Panthers had 82 defensive tackles combined, and the Bucs had 35. I just don't ever remember seeing that much of a, it's nearly 50 tackles difference between the two defenses. It just shows how long we were on the field, just grinding them down. So, I think what was nice is I'm hoping the Bucs defense is going to be nice and fresh for next week. So I guess we're on to Magic One moment then. With such a perfect result, Alex, what is there left to focus on other than signing the Duck?
Secondary.
Yeah.
That is, look what Adam Thielen did to our secondary on Sunday. It is, for me, it is our weakest spot on the team. It really is. So if Todd Bowles can wave his magic wand about 5 million times and somehow turn our secondary, and this is for all the Madden players now, into 99 rated secondary players, we can intercept, block, and everything. But yeah, it's got to be secondary for me.
You'll have to lower Winfield's rating to get him to 99, but unfortunately he won't be playing. Gary, where's your magic one going?
Well, it's an easy one for me. More of the same, please. We're a bit Jekyll and Hyde, aren't we? We're good one week, we're bad the next week, we're good the following week. I'd like to see another performance exactly the same. Let's embarrass the Saints.
My magic wand is very similar to that. I'm basically waving my magic wand like a baton, like a conductor for the second quarter. I feel like there's a bit of a second quarter hex coming, and I want to try and get rid of that. So that's what.
But not in this game,
man. Yeah, that's true. And David, lastly, where are you going to shove your wand?
I beg your pardon. I mean, just picking out on Gary's point, this Buccaneers team, we can beat absolutely anybody, including ourselves.
Yeah.
And if we don't make silly mistakes and get carried away and we turn up with the right attitude, we can roll over the Saints and really enjoy the evening. I suppose the biggest thing to focus on outside that is Mike Evans getting to his 1,000 yards.
Yeah, that's a very worthy one, Wave. I like that. So then the Saints, it's at Raymond James Stadium, thank goodness. It's 1 p.m., 6 p.m. for us, thank goodness. The Saints are 4-12, out the playoffs. Not going to win the title. Thank goodness. Lots of good things happening, but the Saints know if they win, we don't make the playoffs. And they're going to be playing for that. So, Alex, what is the secret to victory on Sunday?
Eat ourselves. just don't be Buccaneers, just like we did against Dallas. I think we were all confident going to Dallas, and we just beat ourselves in that game. We just need to play the way that we played, like we did against Carolina. And especially when we've got Baker throwing 5 touchdowns, like he did. He had an almost perfect game against Carolina. I'm not saying we're going to see that again against New Orleans. I'd like to. It'd be great to see that, but it needs to be disciplined. I think we just got to stay disciplined. No silly flags. Don't do anything stupid. Keep that decision making sensible. So I can't remember already. I know it was only said a few minutes ago. I think it was Gary said about how we're very Jekyll and Hyde. Let's be Dr. Jekyll for this last game of the regular season.
Gary, do we know if I'm showing my ignorance here? Do we know if it's still Spencer Rattler we're going to be facing?
I don't think they've announced it. He certainly played in their game on Sunday, but Carr he's broken something in his non-throwing hand. So, I'm not even sure why he's not played. Perhaps they don't rate him anymore. But the odds are I think it's going to be Spencer Rattler again, and let's hope we rattle him. Yeah,
I mean, I saw last week's game, they did quite well. They probably had a good first half and then just got worn down by the Raiders. But they did do a flea flicker, so I thought of you. It was kind of like a weird flea flicker. Look at it. It was like an end around into a flea flicker, and basically Rattler threw he was on the left sideline and he threw to the right corner of the end zone. So it was 50 yards as the flags, as the chains went, but it must have been in the air for about 70. It was a big, big heave of a throw. So, I mean, David, I think there is a risk they could score some points on us.
Well, there is. As I say, we go back to the secondary. We need more pressure up front on them. But, like I say, we can only beat ourselves. If we turn up with the right attitude, we're going to win this.
Yeah,
I mean, we're playing against a quarterback named after a dodgy UK jewellers.
I think that was Ratner's, to be fair, but it does
Might
sound
well
very
have been,
similar.
yeah.
Hopefully, it
I
has the
mean,
same success rate.
we've just got to turn up and be on our game
Yeah.
and just get the job done. I mean,
And then on the offensive side of the ball, am I correct in thinking obviously there's no Lattimore, but we've still got Cam Jordan to contend with.
Oh, he's an old man.
yeah.
He hasn't done anything against us for the last couple of years. Yeah, I'm quite pleased Lattimore isn't there anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, Cam Jordan, he's no big deal at the moment.
So do you think they're going to be able to get pressure on us? Do we think how vital is it? As Alex was saying, we stick to the run. Do you think, Gary, is that the success?
It's clearly what works for us.
Mm,
The classic case of the run setting up the pass, isn't it? The three-headed monster that we've got. I mean, Sean Tucker went off on one, if you remember, in the game in New Orleans. He was NFC Player of the Week, I believe, wasn't he? So we'll run it down their throats again, yeah, without a shadow of a doubt, and hopefully that will mean that gives more opportunity. They'll stack the box, gives more opportunity for Mike and the superstar that is Jalen McMillan.
Yes, yes. When he's not cocky, he's pretty good. I like him. Yeah. So, David, the question I've got is kind of how do we play your magic wand in it? How are we going to get Mikey over his yards? Because on the one hand, there could be plenty of yards to be had in garbage time when we're already bajillion nil up. However, if we go to him too early, we could end up getting ourselves out of our game plan. They could be double, tripling. They might be picked off. How soon do we go to Mike and how much?
But the run game, first of all,
Hmm.
opens up the backfield, doesn't it? So, get the running, get them, then they're caught what they're actually going to defend against. Then actually spread it around a bit. So
Hmm.
McMillan, Culp, just get the ball around to multiple receivers so they just can't pick on Mike alone.
Hmm.
Then that just open it up for everybody.
And Alex, how aggressive do you think we ought to be? I mean, in terms of downfield throwing the ball, how far? At the moment we don't seem to have compared to some other of the higher powered offenses in the league. I would suggest we probably don't have as great a deep ball a game compared to some of them. We're not flashy. Don't get me wrong. Baker can sling it with the best of them. It's the plays that are being called, I'm sure. It feels like we've got a good running game. We've got a good short and medium passing game. We're not throwing it deep. I guess when we do, Mikey picks up the DPI penalties. I don't know. How aggressive do you think we should be? Because Mikey could get this in 2 passes, or he could get it in 10.
Yeah, quite. Yeah. I think so I was hoping you asked me this question because I've been thinking about this sort of answer for the whole day, and I get the words right. Right now, for me, the Saints are not anything to worry about at all. They are, they are down to the bare bones of offense, and their injuries are just all over the shop. With Lattimore being gone, that is massive. Who's going to cover Mike? Now, even when Mike was playing Lattimore, he was still coming out on top. I think we should be aggressive and use Mike. His height is his biggest advantage, and there was one of his touchdowns on Sunday. Actually, there was a bit of pushing and shoving between him and the safety. So I cannot remember who was defending him. I apologize.
It's the one in the left
fans.
side of the end zone. I know what you mean.
Yes, yeah. And they were both shoving and pushing each other, but Mike was doing enough that it wasn't going to be an OPI. And that's what I love about Mike. I think he's actually changed that aspect of his game. Because you go back a couple of seasons ago, that was going to be flagged for OPI because Mike was drawing flags left, right, and centre on both sides of the ball. So I think we should go for it aggressively down the field to Mike. Use his height, use his strength, but only at the right times. What I don't want to see is us doing that on a 3rd and 1, for example. Let's get that 1 yard and then get the next set of downs. If it's 2nd and 4, 2nd and 5, something like that, go for it. Launch it down the field, be aggressive, but also just be sensible. And there's a few times where, for me, Cohen hasn't really done that. There's times where we've been 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, and he's wanted that deep ball down the field to do it all. And then we've had to punt it away and we lose possession. So, let's be honest, we all know, even just from the way that we saw against Carolina on Sunday, everyone wants to get Mike those 1,000 yards.
Mm.
I think I agree with what's been said by Gary, by David, and some things on WhatsApp and the forum as well. But I think we know that Baker is going to want to get Mike those 1,000 yards. The whole team's going to want to get those 1,000
Everyone
yards.
is, yeah. But the win is more important. I think we all
The
know
win
that, and
is
Mike
more
knows
important.
that. Yeah,
Absolutely, Mike knows that. But
Yeah.
I think we will play aggressive to Mike to get him those 1,000 yards. I really do, and I think everyone hopes he does it. I think even non-Buccaneer fans hopes he's going to do it. Maybe if you're not a Saints fan, but because the records this guy is setting. So I'm going on a tangent now, but
Mm.
there, the records
Is
this
that
guy
signed,
has
Alex?
set. It is signed. Yes, Gary's got one too.
So he has.
And Dave.
I feel a bit left out. Mike, if you're watching this, I'm the only one without a signed photo. Anyway.
But yes, go aggressive. Use Mike's strength. Use Mike's height. I've just summarized what I said. I've just been talking about 3 minutes. I've summarized it in 10 seconds. Go aggressive. Use Mike.
I mean,
Gary,
go on. Sorry, just add that actually, not forgetting the win is the most important thing. If we can get him 25, 30 yards in the first half and get ourselves far enough ahead, then we can go crazy and open it up a bit. Let's not just go stupid, try and force it in the first half and put ourselves in trouble.
Yeah, I'll say, Gary, do you agree with that as well? Go on.
Completely. If the win is clearly the most important thing because win and we're in. But if you take Bucky out of the equation, Mike Evans is our best chance of winning. So the two go hand in hand, don't they? If he gets his 85 yards or whatever it is, gets to the 1,000, you can bet your boots there's a touchdown or two in there as well. Throw in Bucky, and they barely used Rashad White in the last game. He'll get a bit more action, I believe. There's our best chance of winning. So to me, the two go hand in hand.
And Gary, I'll stick with you. We'll come on to score predictions last, but before then, I want to think of a player we haven't spoken about yet, someone that's going to be influential in the game. So I've got to say, for me, McLaughlin, I think kicking is going to be really important. It could be that we start out a bit slow, we're a bit tight, a bit anxious. We might end up sometimes settling for a field goal where we'd rather have a touchdown. Clearly not on the first drive, because I saw the statistic last week that were just basically amazing on the first drive. And so I think the kicking game could be really important, and maybe even punting as well for field position if there's some exchange of possessions.
Okay. Well, thank you for throwing that one at me. If you'd have told me earlier today, I would have given it some thought.
Well, that's why I'm stalling for you. Come on, man.
The name that comes to mind for me is definitely a name we haven't mentioned today. He will be the freshest person on the field, and that is Shaq Barrett. We know what he can do. By all accounts, he's been working out and he's fit as a fiddle. I just wonder if the pass rush we got against Carolina, he had anything to do with that. If he's starting to coach the young kids up a bit better. But if we get some pressure out of him, sacks or whatever, pressure will do, because pressure from him means we get sacks from somewhere else. So I'd love to see him come in and have a monster game.
I mean, yeah, we all just hope that happens. Obviously, he's been on such a terrible, meandering journey that it would just be the icing on everyone's cake, I think.
Yeah, hopefully, he's over his Achilles injury he had a couple of years ago. That was what slowed him last year. I'm sure he wasn't the same player. He'll be over that now. As long as he's fit, then he could have quite an influence on the game.
Good call, David. Your player of influence.
Again, another one looking for someone we haven't mentioned tonight. Tyke Smith in the secondary, big player, comes up with big defensive plays, a good tackler, and then a not so good tackler. So he just needs to get it all together. But I think if he can tidy up that secondary for us, I think that puts us in good stead.
I think it's interesting that it might just be the way the NFL works, but we kind of hear Dean and McCollum, the cornerbacks' names a bit more than the safeties' names. I think that's maybe where other teams are going after the Bucs. So maybe I don't know if that's a badge of respect towards Tyke Smith or not. But yeah, I think you're right. He does need to police the middle bit of the field. Yeah, be good to see what happens there. I think you're right. And we're hoping for some turnovers, I think. So it would be nice if we could get some pick. I think the Saints are prone to that. I saw their receivers, particularly in the first half, they had a lot of drops, or there were some errantly thrown balls, some balls that should have been caught. And all you need is something to bounce off a pad or come off some fingers, and it can go the other way for 7 points. So yeah, we'd love to see some of that. And then Alex, before score predictions, your player of influence.
I've been going through names in my head because Shaq Barrett was the name that came to my head as soon as you asked the question. So when Gary said it, so what I will do, actually, I'll link my answer to what both Gary and David were saying about the win being most important, which absolutely it is. And so I'm going to say Jalen McMillan, because even if Mike is covered, it's Jalen McMillan in the last few games has really stepped up, and has almost stepped to the Chris Godwin role, if you like, being that other receiver where if Mike's covered, it's okay. We've got McMillan. So if Mike is triple or double covered, then the chances are Baker's going to look at him quite a bit.
Yeah. And again, looking ahead to the future, a young set of receivers. Imagine if Godwin's coming back, hopefully fit as a fiddle. What a stable that would be for next year. We still haven't really got a definitive answer as to whether Godwin might reappear in the playoff run. I guess it depends how far we go and how far he's doing. They're keeping that very close to their chest and not really answering that question. But yeah, I think McMillan is
getting
coming
re-signed first, Kieron.
Maybe
we've got to get him re-signed before he's back next year.
Yeah, business
He'll
decisions
be
and
back.
all of that.
He'll be back.
Where else would you want to be?
Just how incredible our drafting was this year.
Yeah.
And look at how many rookies have significantly contributed to this team this year. It's absolutely amazing.
Not just this year, last 2 or 3 years.
It shows the job that Jason Light has really done, doesn't it? Because, I go back to when he first joined the team, and I won't mention names, but I remember some players from the early drafts when Cutter was head coach, and we'll gloss over that. But certainly recently, I think more so since it's probably since Bruce Arians was head coach, the drafting has been nothing short of sublime. And I think I saw there was a stat which I saw, I think it was earlier this season. I can't remember the exact numbers, but we were at that point, we were the team with the most, in terms of the players who were drafted, we had the most on our team, which is fantastic. It really shows the work that Jason Light has done.
Yeah. It can be a double-edged sword. Sometimes that's a symptom of coming off a big salary cap era where you can't sign anyone, so you have to throw whoever you're drafting onto the field. But I don't believe we're in that position. And I think that they did say they had a close up, didn't they, in the game of Jason, like they said, and they did pay homage to him, but not just him, also the scouts and the scouting team, who never get any credit, any kudos, but the people that went and go and looked at Bucky and went, oh, we should draft that guy. That's they're the ones that should be basking in some glory as well.
But it's also interesting just how much the players value the Tampa organisation. A lot of them want to stay for a long time. Those that actually might disappear, they soon find the grass isn't greener and want to get back. It just seems like the whole organisation is just the place to be.
Yeah, it's really good. And it starts at the top, it starts at the bottom, it meets in the middle. It's really good. Right, money where your mouth is time. I don't think anyone's predicting a Bucs loss. So it's how much are we going to win by Gary?
Well, as I said earlier, it depends which team turns up. If it's the good team, I think the Saints are a little bit better than the Panthers, so I've got them getting a couple more points. I've got them at 17. I think we're going to win 36-17.
Oh, I'm close. I won't steal anyone else's thunder. Okay, and is that a slow start? Is that an early sprint?
Quite the opposite. I think we'll do what we have been doing, and scoring early, scoring often, and then taking our foot off the gas at the end.
Yeah. Okay, we'd like
just
that.
to get the win.
Yeah. Get Mikey to 1,001 and then pads off, mate.
and then get your baseball cap on.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
yeah.
David?
Yeah, I think last week I went for 35-17 and underestimated that. So I think around that sort of score again, as you say. Yeah, so I'm very much in line with Gary there. I think our defense might actually be even stronger this week. So I think I'll go for 35-12.
Oh, nice.
Mhm.
Okay, that's good. Bold claims. Alex, where are you sitting? Not on the fence, obviously.
No, yeah, again, around the same area. I'm not as optimistic with David in terms of our defense, I'm afraid. I'm a little bit more pessimistic on that side of things. But I want to see another, maybe rather ambitiously, I'm hoping to see another 5 touchdown game from Baker. It'd be nice to do. So I've gone for 38-20 to us.
38-20. Okay, that's still a good
Mhm.
differential. So I wrote down 35-21, and then I put in brackets 28 question mark. So I can see this going one of two ways. I hope Gary's right. We yomp out in front and get to a lovely early lead, and then the Saints can have all the garbage time they want with that bend but don't break nonsense, and you can, rack up some points at the end. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter. However, my 35-28 is a bit more worrying. It could be they've got a bit more sting in their tail. We make some mistakes, and fumbles happen. A fumble on your own 10-yard line is different on a fumble on their 10-yard line. You don't control where a fumble happens, and that can make points. And I think the game can be cruel sometimes like that. So I worry if some of the things don't go our way, it could still be crap. And we just know with our cardiac Bucks, I think we'll get there. I think willpower alone will get there. The Bucks fans in the stadium, now that it's not a blistering 3,000 in the shade, it's decent temperature this time of year, everyone can be rooting and getting in the game in their seats. I feel like the crowd's going to be a big factor, but I feel like there could be a sting in the tail. So maybe I'm just being pessimistic. But hey, if I'm pessimistic and it's still a Bucks win, that's okay. Anything else to add before we close? Obviously, Happy New Year as well to everyone else watching this. No, we're good. All right.
No,
There you heard it. Hopefully you agree with us. If you don't, in the comments below, we're taking names. We want facts. We want figures. We'll hold you to it if you think we're wrong. Gary, Alex, David, thank you very much. Thank you guys very much. We will see you next time. One way or the other, we'll be reviewing this game. Hopefully, we'll be previewing another game. It'll be 2025. Makes me feel old saying that. And we'll see you next time. But as ever, go Bucks.
go
Go
Bucks.
Bucks.